Hi everybody, this is Karen Moss. This is my Module 2 discussion board regarding the flipped classroom. So I didn't know a whole lot about flipped classrooms until we started doing this discussion, and I read all the materials for this week. And to be honest, I find it very interesting. I find the concept something that I would definitely want to implement and something I would have loved to have tried to done in the classroom. And if I have the opportunity in the future, which I may not, it's something that I very much might want to consider. But anyway, moving along. To answer the first question for this week is, are the flipped classrooms for all ages and all types of learners? Based upon what we read this week, um, the answer is yes. I don't know about all ages, but I definitely believe all types of learners. And I think that based upon the information, the theoretical framework that we read about this week, I think the answer is probably it is for most ages. I'm not an expert with K through 12, so I do wonder sometimes if it would be applicable. But I do think that for higher education, no question about it. I just don't know for little kids if this is something that would work for them, but those of you in K through 12 probably know better than I do. So anyway, moving on to the theoretical framework that I kind of based my decision on, reading Bishop and Verleger's 2013 article about flipped classrooms, I do think that it would be conducive to fostering student success because it really does encompass a lot of student-centered approaches. Active and problem-based learning is what we're trying to achieve, especially, through instructional design, making sure that it's an active learning situation. And most of the concepts with flipped classrooms consider having the, figuring out problems in the classroom, looking at information on their own, but then working in the classroom to determine, what works and what doesn't work. And you have the one-on-one instruction with the facilitator who, is working with each student, and, it is working through solving those problems, and it is actively engaging the learner by looking at videos, letting them think upon the information, and then working on it in the classroom. The second, really big student-centered approach is collaborative learning, because the way the flipped classroom is set up, you have them working in groups or, individually. So with the collaborative learning, that's one of the, important ways of being able to learn is through this cooperative learning, which, according to Smith and McGregor, it represents the most carefully structured and end of collaborative learning continuum. So, the flipped classrooms help students learn from one another, and it's just fosters a good environment that helps students learn. So, and regarding all learning styles, Kolb's theory of experimental learning draws from Piaget, Dewey, and Luan. And that forms the basis of Kolb's learning style. So with all these constructivisms, folks, you see a lot of theories that basically say that flipped classrooms are without a doubt fit into this framework. So moving on to another example, or actually before we get to the example, I did list a potential issue with, using flipped classrooms, because I do think that there could be concerns with the socioeconomic inequities of some students. And, I know that they can have access, at the school and look at the videos during class and then still work on the problems in class. But I do think that takes away from being able to watch it at home and maybe think about it before class starts. So I do think that that's a potential downfall and issue, but maybe maybe it's not as bad as I think. I know that there's a lot of the underprivileged people have access to mobile phones, and maybe that's something they can use it with. I'm not totally sure, but that's one of the pitfalls I can see. But additional research, I did look up other things to see if there was anything out there, and there was, I know the research is minimal as the article we read, but this particular Times newspaper report that I've got a clip of here talks about a Michigan school that had amazing results from a pilot they did from 2010. They basically implemented it with their ninth grade teachers, and the results were so unbelievably good that they implemented it across the board the next year. So the stats here show you kind of what happened. But the English dropped from 52% to 19% failure rate. The school was one of the fifth in the, it says among the fifth percent in Michigan, so it was one of the worst schools, and it went from that to 52 to 19%. In math, it dropped from 44% to 13%, and in science, 41 to 19, and social studies from 28 to 9. I mean, those are massive numbers and massive drops. So obviously, this needs further research and more empirical evidence to prove it. But obviously, with something like this, it does give you hope that it is going to help. As you can see here, college graduation rates rose, and the college attendance also went up. So anyway, I think that this was a good example. I've got on the references the link to that article. So yes, I do think that it's for all ages, and I do think it's for all learners. So moving on to examples, I loved these particular examples that I've got in here because it is a teacher. The first one is a teacher that presents her video for a flipped classroom concept, and she goes over it with her students and explains why she's using it, but she doesn't explain it with the whys initially. She poses scenarios and questions to the students and basically says, these are issues you have, and this is how we're going to solve it. And so anyway, I thought it was a great video, so I totally suggest watching it. And then the second video is actually one that same teacher produced. So that obviously I thought was great to use so that you can kind of see, how she implemented it. So these are examples. And sort of the tools that I would use, this is hard for me because I honestly haven't done anything like this in the past. I only know, a little bit about videos. So, but one of the things I have been using lately is Office Mix, and I'm not sure, I haven't seen anybody mention this, so I don't know how many people know about it, but this is the add-in bar that you can do, and it's a free add-in that you can get from Office Mix online, and it makes your PowerPoints more interactive, and it's completely free. You can do the slide recordings, you can do quizzes, and you can monitor who is seeing them and who is doing the information. You can upload it to a site for Office Mix, and you can export it to video and lots of different things. And so it's what I'm using now to record this. So anyway, I just thought I'd throw that out there. And then Camtasia, obviously, I've used that for everything else I've been doing until I learned about this Office Mix. I think it's great. It's intuitive. It's easy to use, and with the basics until you learn the more advanced items. So then Camtasia I think is great. Educations, I love how you can create your own lessons with separate modules. I looked at the video online on how to do that. My iPad is broken, so I wasn't able to do it, which is unfortunate because I really wanted to. And the features that are on the regular laptop are just not as good. And obviously Khan Academy, I mean, it's a known entity with students, they love it and they respect it. So I would certainly use that as a tool. And then the TED videos are great quality and very inspirational. So I definitely would consider using that. So thanks. Have a great week. And let me know if anybody's got any questions. Thanks.